Hi everybody, welcome to another episode from Pro Engineering. And this one is a little bit odd because I'm actually not going to be unveiling anything. I'm simply going to be repairing something. This is Superfly, and I basically feel that this is my flagship vehicle. It has been my test mule for about 3 years now, and I am not kind to it. This car's only use is to go to the racetrack and race in sanctioned classes with other vehicles. And as you can imagine, it's a little bit outshined by other cars on the track. I think the last time this was the pinnacle of technology was probably never. I don't think the Hornet was ever the best RC car available. That doesn't mean it is not the world's greatest RC car. So I have simply taken perfection and made it a little bit better. You can see here that this has my cantilever front suspension. And at the rear, it has some other goodies here that I think this has been a very common piece here. This is a rear suspension mount, very similar to what the Super Hornet has. This is directly bolted to the Pro wing mount and chassis brace. And the way the whole setup works is there is a cage, which is also available from Shapeways, that integrates the entire chassis, every single mounting point on the chassis, to the rear wing mount. I don't know if you can see it here, but it actually does bolt directly into this. And what it does is it redistributes the rear suspension load through the rear wing mount and actually uses the chassis. So it redistributes a lot of the stresses that would normally aid in wearing out and stressing the vehicle. So I did recently bring the car to the track and had a wonderful time. Finally got some footage of it. However, I don't know when this happened. I'm almost pretty good about this, but I'm going to try and turn this axle here. And I don't know if you can look at the other hub here. Notice how, oh man, how it's turning the same direction. And really, I am having some difficulty trying to get this. Ooh, man. Anyway, I broke it. Simple as that. That's kind of interesting to me because I have never broken a gear on one of these transmissions. I've owned my Midnight Pumpkin since I was 11 and never damaged a gear in that vehicle. I do have a friend of mine who has a lunchbox who I don't think went an entire weekend without making this thing explode. So although I am familiar with these braking, I've never done that myself. So my goal here is to open this up, see what I did, and then we'll take a look at some footage of the Hornet driving around. I think you'll enjoy that. And I'm sure there's plenty of you out there going, seriously, you haven't broken one? Then you're not using the car correctly. And you're probably right. I'm going to pull the motor out as well because it is soldered directly to the speed control, and then we'll crack this open and see what I've done. I've removed all but this one screw up here. Maybe I forgot that one. I think it's just unscrewed. And let's go ahead and unscrew this guy here. The others are all backed out. All right. So concern number one, I don't know if you can see this, but the inside of the transmission case appears to be full of mud, which I find very amusing as this vehicle has never been in mud since it's been repurposed as Superfly. Let's take a look at what I've done here. What the heck is in here? Ew. Alright, looks like maybe I destroyed the diff. The counter gear seems to look fine. All of its teeth are there. Did I accidentally miss two kinds of grease? I don't know what I'm looking at here. It does appear... Oh, wait, what did I... Huh. Okay, well this all... Ugh. Alright, let's take the diff gear out. Alright, so it... Wait a minute, is nothing broken? Does it look like anything's broken here? All the teeth are present. This thing was just not sitting in there. Oh, I see. There we go. Man, that's kind of lame. I was hoping to see plastic shards and internal organs. That's what I broke? Something that I could super glue together in a pinch? Oh man, that's kind of boring. Well, okay, so we solved that, but we haven't solved the case of the goopy transmission. I suspect that I may have inadvertently mixed two different kinds of greases. That's all I can figure. Maybe an oil-based grease and a silicone-based grease on accident. Wow. I am going to clean this, and I'll be back. So I've tidied up the gearboxes here. You can see they no longer look like a mud pit. And it was kind of confusing because when I looked over the build of Superfly, all I did was pull this transmission from the car that it was on, which was my original Hornet, and put it in the car. So I suspect that it actually was some kind of mud. Maybe I just rinsed the outside and never thought about cleaning the inside. Nevertheless, these gears are ancient, and it's hard to see, but this gear here in the center has some significant wear and chewing on it. So we are going to pull all of these gears out and replace them with some nice new ones. I also never grease the teeth on my gears when it comes to nylon gears. And in my experience, you know, nylon typically doesn't need grease. In fact, I found it to make the driveline a little more stiff. And in some cases, the grease that's used for the nylon can actually degrade the quality of the nylon. So I'm going to do what I do with my modern cars and simply apply a dab of grease to any metal part that is rotating. So put a little dab here and here. There we go. Just a tiny bit. I really like this Tamiya ceramic grease. Okay, and we're going to take the pins here, put them through our bevel gears, and just plop those right in here. Now, before I finish the installation of this transmission, you know what I should really do is be certain that the transmission case is not cracked. Let's take a look at this gear case. I'm seeing, can you see that right there? I don't think that's, oh shoot. There we have it. You see that? Darn it. Oh, that's broken. How's the other side? The other side looks good. Wow. Did not see that. I just did not see that coming. Okay, so we're going to need a new gearbox. I'll be back. I've located a couple of nice used transmission halves. See, these actually had some bushings in the past, so we'll just throw in my old ball bearings in there and get this guy up to speed. So my gears have all been, oops, gotta pull that out. You did see me replacing all the gears. That'll give me a nice fresh transmission, and I can't even imagine the last time these gears were even touched. I mean, as you can tell here. Unfortunately, what I wasn't expecting was to replace this case, and you can see on the old one right here that there is a small slot. This slot is due to the third shock modification that Superfly has, which is a bit unique in that it is in fact a cantilever. If you didn't see it, I'll just go ahead and pull the car up again. Oops. And there you see it right there. So this little mount here attaches to the transmission and allows for this articulation of the third shock. Now, you are probably wondering where you can get this. So the thing is, I've never actually made this for sale because it's overkill. It's not necessary, and the mount that you've seen many of here on, let's grab this Hornet here, this brace does an equal job. It is much less complicated to install. It requires no modification to the transmission, and it does the exact same work. So it's something that you can pick up, but it does require the use of the frame. And by frame, I do mean the 3D printed one here within the car. So it's kind of a big expense for something that does very, very little. All right, I'm going to throw this transmission together, and then we can go ahead and chop up the front of it here to get it to fit back in the car, and then we're all set. The transmission case has been reassembled. It's all ready to go in, aside from not having this little notch. So that should be pretty simple. I'm just going to kind of line these two up like so. And just for a moment, I'm not going to look through the viewfinder because that makes it very, very difficult. So we'll line them up like this, and I am going to simply mark where the cut needs to be. Okay. In terms of depth, you can see it is about 10 millimeters deep, and this transmission does have this pocket here, so when I cut this, there's not going to be any chance of any material going into the transmission. Before I do this, it's very, very important. We grab our safety goggles, and we are going to turn on the old Dremel tool here. You know, I'm going to make this cut with the camera going so you can see how I do it. I think we're getting there. I'm going to use this flat-headed X-Acto knife here just to kind of trim off the flash to see if I have, in fact, gone the right depth. Okay. The risk that you have here when you're making any kind of modification like this is, it's possible that you are going to maybe take away too much material, and at that point you've ruined the transmission, or really whatever you're working on. So it's always best to kind of just make a few cuts slowly but surely, and make sure that you have enough material. So this looks like we're just about there. I went ahead and made the cut a little bit deeper, and now to get rid of the remainder of the material, there's a few ways you can do it, but the one that I kind of like the most is this bit here. I don't know what they're exactly called, but basically it allows you to it's kind of like a reamer that you are installing on a Dremel tool. This is how it's going to work here. I'm going to try and zoom in a bit. This X-Acto knife here and just kind of clean it up a little bit so I can see what's going on. Nice. And the remainder of this should just snap right off. I'm going to grab some needle nose pliers here. It's just stuck a little bit in the center where the cutting blade didn't reach. Okay, that is pretty nice and tidy, but not quite nice enough. You want to make sure that you have no flash in here, and I'm going to use this guy. And I just picked up this at, I think it was at Michael's, or I'm sure it's going to be different in other countries here. This is, if you go to an art store they're going to have kind of quite the variety of X-Acto knife blades. And please always be careful. These things are insanely sharp, and you can send yourself to the hospital very, very quickly with a simple slip of the blade. So be careful. Any youngsters out there, it's best that you do ask for some help from an adult when you're working with any X-Acto knife. And the X-Acto knife just fell on the floor. Fabulous. I'm going to go pick that up right now. Let's go ahead and install this transmission. I'm not going to lie when I say I'm being lazy on how I actually took this transmission apart. You can see that I left both of these in here, and I'm relying on the flexibility of the brace on the side here to basically pull these out of the way and install the transmission. And this is just how I'm going to do it here. So let's line this up here. You can see, really I should pull the wing off. You can see that it's right in line with this pin. So the pin will drop through the transmission. There we go. Straight through that. Out the other side. Eventually. There we have it. Successful. I'll plop this on this side over here. Push this pin all the way down. And just kind of pull this out. tad. Please, at home, take your car apart properly. There we go, and back in. I'm going to screw these in here, and then we'll tidy up the rest of the trans. Trans is mostly back in. I think the only thing we have left are the rear shock mounts here. And I did want to show you how I install these. This is not necessarily something that I do for only my rear suspension, but for most suspensions that use any kind of Tamiya components. So you see these little spacers here. Let me grab another one. These are these little brass spacers. I use these for most Tamiya shocks because the opening in the shock eyelet requires these. Without these, there's too much play. So every time I design something, I design it for a Tamiya component simply because I want to make things easy on people. So we will begin by sliding this machine screw in, but I also want to put a washer in here as I don't want that spacer there to dig into the nylon. So we'll put that in there, and then another washer on the back side here. Right. And this can be really tricky and annoying, but just have some patience and you'll get it in there. Oftentimes it might be easy to actually unscrew the bottom mount just to get a little more space. And oh, there it went. That's funny, I got stuck in the O. If your hands are smaller than mine, it could help. There we are. So let's get these in there. Oh, remember, you always want a back thread, whether it's in the nylon or the stock Tamiya ABS plastic. You want a back thread, let the screw drop back into the thread, and then go ahead and snug it up. And there we have it. I'll do the same on this side. Well, Humpty Dumpty has been put back together again and ready for the next bout at the track. I did want to show off some of the wheels and tires that I have on this car. The track that I go to, unfortunately, is not cool with these kind of pinspike tires. It's simply because it's a clay track. The hobby shop that I go to is called NorCal Hobbies. They used to have a location in Union City, California that had this beautiful outdoor track that this thing just was amazing on with the stock wheels and tires. Sadly, the clay is not happy with those tires, so I picked up a set of these Proline Ion tires, and they're good. These are the tires that I have selected for this car. The issue is the rims required are typically like a Tamiya with very little personality. In fact, they tend to be quite unattractive to me. So what I did is I tried to emulate the stock tires or rims look with these rims here. If I do kind of lean these over a bit, you can see that there is a faux black wall here that makes the tire look like it's a much larger sidewall tire than what it actually is, which is this low profile. So I have given it that appearance, and overall I have retained the star wheel for the front as well as for the rear. These are made out of SLS plastic, 3D printed, and you can see that in the rear they do have these little support ribs here for both, again, the front as well as the rear, and it does fit the stock Tamiya bolt pattern at the rear. The white that you see here is the white that came out of the package. It has not been painted. It is simply being clear coated to facilitate in actually cleaning them. If you do not clear coat your plastic your 3D printed parts, what ends up happening, you can kind of see it here, with the clay, it kind of leaves this residue, which you can scrub it and scrub it and scrub it, and it just won't come off. I really should have clear coated these, but Superfly here isn't for beauty, it's for performance, so I really didn't mind it too much. These tires, and I wanted to show this one in particular, have been outstanding in terms of performance and reliability and durability. This chunk missing out of the tire, out of the rim right here, was done by a monumentally fast and large short course truck. Superfly had flipped over at the end of the straightaway, and even though I had announced that the car was stricken, the owner of the 8-scale short course truck plowed into it full speed. This car went flying. I thought for sure when I walked over there there'd be a pile of melted SLS plastic. Instead, this chunk was all that was missing. So I'm supremely happy at the performance of these rims. Unfortunately, due to their size and the fact that you need 4 of them, they're quite pricey. most likely you're going to just want to get a set of standard Tamiya rims, and you'll be good to go. I do want to show you some of the driving that I did with this vehicle. It's last time out. It has been to this off-road track many times and proven itself to be just a ball to drive. I'm going to stop talking and we're going to watch some videos here. Please note for a moment that the day I went there, it was pouring rain. It was during a vacation, so you might see a lot of strange cars driving backwards or over the lane dividers. There was a lot of youngsters there, which is great to see. It's always nice to see kids at the RC car track. So that's why there's some strange things going on. You'll also see a gigantic 1/8 scale vehicle there, which makes this thing look about that big. That is also the day I blew up the transmission, so it unfortunately was cut a little bit short. In fact, in some of the video, the transmission is in fact ruined, but the car still seems to be running beautifully. So please enjoy. I do want to thank you for watching this pointless video because I really did nothing at all important. If you enjoyed watching uselessness, please subscribe. I have lots of useless things to talk about in the future. Remember to subscribe and add me on Facebook as well as Instagram. I am Ampro Engineering on both. And before you take off from watching that driving footage of this car, check out the band Blue Pinto. They're the band that allows me to use their songs in my videos. A link to their Facebook page can be found in the closing credits. Thanks and enjoy the video.
Please stop doing the thing you're doing. My pulse is racing, you're in my head. I'll be an old man before my time. A year from now you'll walk the aisle. Did I miss my chance? Did I have one then? What happened that night? Did I get scared? Did I miss my chance? Did I have one then? What happened that night? Did I run? You should be evil or maybe neurotic, vapid and shallow, cold to the core. Then your charms would bounce right off me like all the others I never knew. Did I miss my chance? Did I have one then? What happened that night? Did I get scared? Did I miss my chance? Did I have one then? What happened that night? Did I run? Your aim is perfect, you'd start a war. Why didn't I see it long before? It's not your fault, it's who you are, and torture's better than nothing at all. I'll put you in my Hall of Fame, my high fidelity list, my regretful song. If you'll just stop doing the thing you're doing, cause it's a curse to think you want me to. Did I miss my chance? Did I have one then? What happened that night? Did I get scared? Did I miss my chance? Did I have one then? What happened that night?